The theme of this video is to illustrate the principle of providing an experience that matches the desired experience. It introduces the Adventure Experience Paradigm, or AEP, and suggests matching the risks or challenges to the skills or competencies of the participants. On September 30th, 2004, a group of employees from a major company in Washington metropolitan region participated in a team-building exercise on the Shenandoah River near Harpers Ferry, West Virginia. In the morning, the group participated in traditional Project Adventure-type team-building activities. In the afternoon, the group had a choice of one of the following: a high ropes course, biking, or rafting. Normal river levels in September are between 2 to 4 feet on the Millville gauge, with a flow of roughly 10,000 CFS, or cubic feet per second. Flood is officially 13.5 feet on the river gauge. Unfortunately, with the remnants of Hurricane Jeannie, the Shenandoah River crested at 14.15 feet, or 44,500 CFS. The river was dropping, and at the time of the incident, it read roughly 12.5 feet, or 35,000 cubic feet per second. Due to the high water, at least one other outfitter ceased commercial operations on the Shenandoah. At low water, depicted in the photo, the staircase is bony and the route is pick and choose. At high water, the river extends continuously from bank to bank, which can impede rescues. Due to the vertical rock strata, the holes behind the ledges can become steep and bitey. The trip consisted of 27 participants in 5 rafts with 5 guides. They ran in tight formation. 2 rafts flipped. A third raft dumped its passengers in the water. The situation suggests that the rafts were where they wanted to be, but they didn't really want to be where they were. At this level, a normally benign hole became a stopper. There was 1 fatality and 12 very unhappy passengers. The court merged the 2 cases into one for the purposes of the trial. During the trial, settlement was reached between the parties regarding the fatality. For the unhappy passengers, the jury did not award any damages. The trip is useful in discussing the fundamental programming principle that the experience provided did not match the experience expected by the participants. The Adventure Experience Paradigm, or AEP, is based on Csikszentmihalyi's concept of flow. When the challenges match the skills, flow can occur. Essentially, flow is characterized as a state where you are into the moment, not thinking about the external world, losing a sense of time, totally engaged. If you have to think about whether you are in a flow experience, you aren't. If the challenges exceed the skills, worry and then anxiety occurs. If the skills exceed the challenges, boredom and then anxiety occurs. In part, the AEP incorporates the flow model. The flow experience becomes a peak adventure. Challenges become risks and skills become competency. Worry becomes a misadventure and anxiety becomes devastation and disaster. Higher competency leads to a simple adventure and to exploration and experimentation. The programming thesis is simply that in order to provide a peak adventure, you attempt to match the competencies to the risks or challenges. Allison's deposition is representative of the 12 passengers who had an unhappy experience. Gulping water and coming up underneath a flipped raft are not fun experiences, but then again, they are not uncommon participant experiences when rafts flip either. Post-activity trauma and panic attacks are not the type of experiences desired from a team-building experience. In terms of the AEP model, risk exceeded their competencies. They most likely had a devastation and disaster experience. There was a mismatch. As a sidebar, participants, staff, and others who expressed comments after a traumatic event or fatality like, "It could have been me," or "I've done that," have internalized the accident and are most likely in need of formal or informal counseling. Look for these symptoms and address them. In addition, it is worth noting that had they not flipped the raft and had a nasty swim, the group may have completed the trip with smiles on their faces for having a good experience, not fully aware of the high water dangers present. Matching the experience provided with the experience desired begins with promotional materials. The company's website depicts a typical project adventure type team building experience with trust activities. In the afternoon, there is a choice between the aerial adventure park or high ropes course, biking, or whitewater rafting. Imagine the Shenandoah at 12.5 feet, or roughly 4 times the normal 2 to 4 foot flow. The website accurately depicts the river at the normal 2 to 4 foot level as slow water solitude with beginner to intermediate level whitewater action. Participants can take turns guiding rafts. At 12.5 feet, the river is a very different river. It is no longer beginner to intermediate level, and it is beyond participants guiding rafts. The website no longer accurately depicts the experience provided. From a programming and accident reduction perspective, what are the alternatives for the company? First, they could cancel the afternoon trip. Although this would work, it isn't much fun for the participants. They could move the rafting and team building activities to the nearby Potomac River and Needles. Third, they could have taken a rain check and completed the rafting trip when the river was lower. This would be inconvenient. Or fourth, as the brochure suggests, they could do the high ropes course or biking for their afternoon team building activities. In summary, consider the following discussion questions. 1. Given the high water, should they have run the whitewater trip? If yes, what, if anything, should they have done differently to make the trip safer? If no, what alternative would you recommend? 2. A theme of this video is matching the experience delivered with the experience desired. Do you agree with this objective? Is it axiomatic? The group was here for a team-building experience. What would you do differently, if anything, to achieve this objective, including alternatives? 3. Although alternatives were available, they chose to run the river. One reason might be that the guides did what they wanted rather than what was best for the guests. This was their opportunity for a high water trip. What do you think? And did it lead to a mismatch between the experience delivered and expected? 4. Providing the experience is longitudinal. It begins with the website and marketing information. It includes the pre-trip experience, including the safety talk. Then it involves the actual experience or trip, and finally the post-experience or what people remember. Discuss how you provide congruence between these phases, and if you need to change the activity, how do you make the readjustments? 5. Discuss the pros and cons of the AEP model. Discuss the merits of matching the risks or challenges to the competencies or skills of the participants, and what you would do to create the desired experience or peak adventure. 6. Assume they successfully completed the trip with smiles on their faces for having had what they thought was a good and safe experience, not fully aware of the high water dangers present. Would this change anything?